AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. I am Aubrey Edwards here with my close personal friend and beautiful co-host, Tony Schiavone. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Aubrey, what's up, girl?
I'm doing okay. The sun's coming out in Seattle. It's starting to get warm. It's a nice 60 degrees. Very different than Florida.
Are you excited about getting back on the road on a full-time basis?
Oh, man, you have no idea. I'm just looking forward to consistency, traveling Tuesday, taping Wednesday, traveling Thursday, and having the same days off every time. I think that's honestly my most, the thing I'm looking forward to most. So.
Yeah, me too. I just can't wait. It'll be great.
So great. Speaking of great, we have a wonderful person here today with us. We've got Allie, Bunny, Allie, Cherry Bomb. She goes by many different names, and I'm sure we'll go over that a bit. How are you doing, Allie?
I'm caffeinated. How are you guys? I'm on I want to say second cup, but I'd be lying. I'm on my third cup of coffee this morning.
I'm on number 3 as well, so no shame in that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Tony's got to catch up on the coffee train.
I've had 2 monsters this morning.
Your purple monsters.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're feeling good then? Are you feeling like a hummingbird? Like a hummingbird?
Yeah. Exactly. So, and then there may be a cup of coffee, but anyway, Allie, you know what I think of you.
You love me.
I love you. You know that. You're one of my favorite people, and when you look at the camera and you tilt your head to one side and then you snap at the camera, it scares me.
I'm glad. It's supposed to.
I knew you'd say that. I'm glad. It is great having you. And there's a great rundown of your accolades and things that you've done. And Aubrey, why don't you, if you don't mind, read those, because there's a lot of them.
2009 Female Wrestler of the Year at the Ontario Indie Wrestling Awards. One-time Great Canadian Wrestling Wild Champion, Shimmer Tag Team Champion with Kimberly, Shine Tag Team Champion with Kimberly, 2-time TNA Impact Wrestling Knockouts Champion, 1-time Women's Superstars Uncensored Champion, and 11-time Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 50 Women between 2009 and 2019.
Yeah. Do we miss anything? Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
It makes me uncomfortable hearing all of it, to be honest.
Why does it make you uncomfortable?
I don't know. It's just weird hearing all that. But it takes me down memory road a little bit, though.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of wrestlers, both male and female, that would love to have that list. And it means that you've had a great impact on the business. And
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. And you were one of the first women signed to AEW back in 2019. Talk about your decision to go ahead and sign with AEW.
Yeah, so that was it was really unexpected for me, to be honest with you. I guess I'll just be honest. I was in a really kind of a tough headspace at the time. Okay. I was just going through a lot of mental struggles and things like that. And when I got the call, to be honest with you, I was just in complete shock. I didn't even believe it at first. I was just are you sure? Are you sure that you want so, but I was so thrilled and excited, and I just felt very blessed to be even offered a chance to work for the company. So yeah, it was pretty exciting.
So yeah, you had come in, I think you did commentary at the very first Double or Nothing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
you were so incredibly nervous. I remember that.
I was so scared. I don't think I'd ever done, I might have done commentary once on an indie. And I'm sitting there and I was just oh God, I don't know how to talk. I just completely forgot how to speak. I just kept saying, wow.
And then Double or Nothing, and you had your first match at Fyter Fest with Leva Bates. Can you talk about how that sort of went?
Yeah, so that was also unexpected. I was actually in line at Target buying Oreos. Shocking, I know. And I got the call, and it was can you be available to wrestle on Fyter Fest? And I think it was a couple of days, maybe 2 days. And I remember I was holding the Oreos in my hands, and I was yeah, okay, I think I'll just put these down. And yeah, I was given the opportunity, and it was, I I remember just feeling so happy and excited to walk out, during my entrance and see all the fans. It was one of the coolest experiences ever. And I really felt at that moment like I was now officially like part of AEW. Because leading up to that, it's like that thing where like, that you work there, but you haven't really had a full taste of it yet. And then once I actually walked out and I felt the crowd and it was just, what a high. I rode a wave after that. I was so happy.
Do you remember the first time you remember hearing about AEW or how it all started before the call?
Yeah. So I actually did the con that was attached to All In. So I was like well aware of everything that was going on. I just at the time was working for Impact Wrestling, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do after that. But I remember just being very excited that there was like another company. There was another
Sure.
wrestling company with really good people. And I've known Kenny and the Bucks for a very long time. So I was very excited for them. And I just remember feeling like just good about there being another option for people, because there hasn't been in a long time.
Right.
So you came in as Allie, and you've got all these different personas, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more, a little deeper than that. But you come in as Allie. I remember you were doing an interview with Mr. Tony Schiavone here, got your hair chopped off, disappeared, and came back through the bottom of a ring as a bunny.
Yes.
And this was also around this was also around the same time that we brought in the Butcher and the Blade. And for those that don't know, you are actually married to the Blade in real life.
Yes.
In non-kayfabe. So one, how does it feel to actually get a chance to work with your husband? And two, what was sort of the reasoning for switching back to the bunny type character from your Allie character?
Well, I guess first and foremost, working with my husband, and not only working with him, but being in the moment where he got to debut at AEW was probably one of the highlights of my entire career. It was very emotional for myself, for Andy, Butch, and for Jesse, obviously the Blade. I felt very, very lucky because I know how hard he's worked to get to this point. I mean, he's been in the business for 20 years, and just to be able to crawl out of a ring and stand side by side with him was, man, that was so cool. I feel like I'm getting emotional just talking about it because I was so proud. I was so proud of him. I was like, yes, like you deserve this. I was happy for me, obviously, but it was more like, nah, like this is your moment and I just want you to soak it up, So that was really cool. And I love working with him and I love working with Andy, and I feel very lucky because I've got my husband and one of my best friends with me, so it's pretty cool. But in terms of reinventing sort of my character, and, I felt like having my hair cut off was a bit of a breaking point for the character of Allie, and also like for myself, like I said, like coming into AEW, I was going through a really hard time, and I felt really directionless, like in my life in general. And it felt like when I was able to reinvent myself as the bunny, I got to take all that energy and all of those things that were I was going through and inject them into the character, which I think helped make her more authentic because it was coming from a real place. I needed change. I desperately needed change. And I feel like the bunny, not only is she, I guess she's a little crazy sometimes, but she's crazy for a reason. And I felt like creatively, it helped me express some of those feelings I had. So, and I felt like it was time. Like I had been like this super bubbly, happy persona, and it was time to switch it over. It was time to, show a different side of myself as the bunny.
Well, this side of yourself is working. I can tell you that. And let me go back to when you said when you think about it, it was a very emotional time when you and Blade came up through the ring. And you know what? I get it. And that's kind of what makes our company special. And of guys like your husband, who is one of the great guys behind the scenes, really is. And Andy and you, everybody who's, worked on quote unquote on the independents and, has struggled. It's good to see them in a major promotion, and it's good to see that you guys have been a part of it. And now you're a part of the Hardy family office, and you're involved in things. You got to be excited about the direction you're taking right now.
Oh my gosh. I'm working with Matt Hardy. Like,
Right.
what? Like,
How
it's
weird
just,
is that, right?
Right.
it is from, and obviously like I'm a wrestling fan at heart. So, there's parts of me that are just like never in a million years did I think that I'd be working alongside Matt Hardy,
Right.
And also to have like creative control over my character has been so cool. And, to be able to try different things in the ring and to sort of like refine myself within AEW has been such a great journey. And I think like that's one of the reasons why the company is so great is that they, I feel like they trust us to make decisions about our characters and about, kind of where we're going. And the fact, like I said, the fact that I get to work with my husband is just, God, it's just very cool, man. Like, it's just like, sometimes I wake up, I write a gratuity journal every day. I write what I'm grateful for. And that's always on my list is that I get to work at AEW and I get to work with Jesse and Andy.
So we mentioned a little bit, you're working with Matt Hardy. There's Butcher and the Blade coming through the ring. But one of the major storylines you were involved with kind of in between those two moments was the Nightmare Sisters. And you and Brandi were tag teaming. And I loved watching you two in the ring and the chemistry you had together. The adorable shirt you guys had with like the little chibi characters. You got to be a part of the women's tag tournament. You unfortunately lost in the finals. Sorry, it's a very touchy moment. But what was it like being primarily a singles wrestler and having such a huge impact on tag team wrestling from the women's division perspective?
Well, I had worked in a tag team on the indies with Kimberly. We were the Kimber Bombs, and we worked we worked for a bunch of different companies, but primarily Shimmer and Shine. So I knew that I'd already loved tag team wrestling. Like I feel like the dynamic of working with a partner is so much fun because especially when they're two completely opposite characters, and I really felt that way with Brandi. Like we're totally different personalities. And when you put them together, I feel like it just gives something different, something interesting, brings something interesting to the table. I felt really like when we were told about the tournament, I was so excited because one, I was able to wrestle again, which is, I love wrestling so much. So I was really excited to be given that opportunity. And then to, obviously to take part in, it was very cool. I got to work with different people that I hadn't worked with yet, which is awesome. And again, like I feel like I've said this a couple times, but it helped me explore my character even more, which is like my favorite part of wrestling is understanding a character and getting to show like different sides of that character. So that in and of itself is very cool for me because I got to kind of experiment with somebody else. So that was very cool.
We're talking with Allie, also known as the Bunny. And how did you come up with the Bunny persona?
So the Bunny is kind of a combination of a lot of different things. I love horror movies. It's my favorite genre.
Oh, yeah.
So I watch a lot of horror movies, and I like to draw things out of characters that I've seen and kind of take little pieces of that. So one of my inspirations for the Bunny is a character from A House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. I don't know if either of you have seen that.
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, fair. Well, there's a character called Baby. So I drew a little inspiration from her. I drew some inspiration from another TV show that I love called The Vampire Diaries. There's a character named Catherine. She's a very interesting character. So I took some from that. The movie The Strangers. I took some from that. But then also I took a lot, believe it or not, from my own experience in my own life. And I kind of took all of that and threw it into the Bunny because I feel like when you're a character, there has to be some authenticity there. Like there has to be some real life there, or it's going to come across as completely fake. And so I feel like, you have to draw from your own experiences a little bit, even if those are amplified, even if those are like over the top, to make your character work. And so I draw a lot from real life into the Bunny. Yeah.
So you're saying that there's parts of the Bunny that are really you. How did I feel that I knew that? I just knew that. I don't know how I knew that.
Don't say I'm crazy, Shivani. Don't say it.
I wouldn't dare say that.
We all have to be a little crazy to work in this business.
Yes,
right?
we do.
Agreed.
Yes, we do.
100%.
Yeah,
We're all a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. So why the choice of a bunny and not like a giraffe or a hippo or something?
Oh my goodness. So the bunny. Before I was in AEW, I worked alongside Rosemary from Impact Wrestling, and we were in I don't want to call it a tag team because we didn't really get to explore that, but we developed Demon Bunny, which is basically me, the bunny, her, the demon, and we have a friendship, and so that's kind of started there. So one of the reasons why I drew on the character of the bunny is bunnies are typically very innocent and sweet, and they like carrots and I like carrots. But I thought that having a character that is supposed to be innocent and sweet actually be a complete psychopath was kind of like a neat dynamic. And yeah, so that's kind of where that, and it kind of like, I just feel like it really works because you don't expect a rabbit or a bunny to be so insanely vicious, you know? And also we're both vegan, so
there you go.
Get fit.
Yeah, in kind of a weird way, I'm kind of into this bunny thing. Of course you are. I am.
Yeah,
I really am.
that.
And I think if I am, I think there's a lot of fans out there who are as well. So I think a lot of fans get it. We're talking with Allie, the bunny, and coming up next, we're going to go back to the beginning of her career and talk about that on AEW Unrestricted. This is AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. We're talking to Allie, also known as the Bunny, from The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. And you've mentioned a couple times already, Allie, that you were a big wrestling fan. How did you get interested in pro wrestling, and when did that all start for you?
Yes, big wrestling fan. I actually started watching wrestling when I was probably around 3. I don't really remember. I don't remember that far back, but my dad was a really, really, really big wrestling fan. So he kind of sat me in front of the TV when I was a toddler and was like, this is wrestling.
We're watching this.
And we're watching this. And so I grew up watching wrestling with him. That was kind of our thing. We'd watch the pay-per-views together. We'd always order them. And so that's kind of how I got started watching wrestling. My dad passed away when I was 12. Actually, the last thing we did together was watch a pay-per-view, wrestling pay-per-view. Wow. Yeah. And so I always had I guess like a connection with wrestling, because it made me feel closer to him. So I sort of stopped watching wrestling after that for a few years.
Understandable.
Because it was hard, that he was the only person I watched it with. So I was kind of,
sure.
But when I was about 16 or 17, I was dating somebody at the time, and he was a big wrestling fan, and he put on wrestling one day. And I just remember being completely glued. It was as if I was picking up where I left off. I just got sucked in immediately and just became a super fan again. And it was when I saw women, I guess, wrestling for the first time. I couldn't believe that there were women actually in the ring, because when I was growing up, it was, during the 90s, and mostly I had seen women managing, I saw, valets for the most part. And actually when I was 9, I sent a letter to, World Wrestling Federation at the time, asking if I could be the Body Donna's manager.
At the time, it would seem kind of weird for a 9-year-old to be a manager, but we've now established that that's the norm. So
right. Back in the 90s, though, maybe questionable. And also, but I just remember my dad being very supportive. He's like, yeah, write the letter, write it on your, whatever. It was just very funny. Anyways, and I did. I mailed it out. I sent it. Never heard back. Whatever.
Wonder why.
But so when I saw females, I saw Trish and Lita and Molly Holly and Jazz, when I saw them wrestling, I remember being like, oh, girls can do this. Oh, like maybe I could do this, you know, like, and so that sort of sparked my interest and my obsession again. And a couple years later, I, found a wrestling school.
So you trained at the Squared Circle Training Center in Toronto.
Yes.
And your first gimmick was Cherry Bomb.
It was, yes.
So what inspired the Cherry Bomb character?
So I signed up to Squared Circle Training on the day after my 18th birthday. My mom came with me and never played a sport in my life. It was very hard for me. I was more of a music gal. I played guitar and, I liked punk rock. And anyways, I showed up at the training facility and was like, oh, I actually have to do stuff. Like, I was so scared. I couldn't even run under a leapfrog. Like, I was afraid of everything. Like, literally, it took forever for me to get comfortable in the ring. But my trainer named me Cherry Bomb. Rob Fuego, he just said, I think I had pink hair. I had like black and pink hair. And he said, your wrestling name's going to be Cherry Bomb, I think, something like that. And I was like, ew. Like, I didn't like it. I was like, what? I remember going like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what is a cherry bomb? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just not keen on that at all. But obviously, the name Cherry Bomb holds such a special place in my heart now because I was that character for, oh my gosh, 10, 11 years. And, so now looking back, obviously, I love her. I love the character of Cherry Bomb because she's so spicy and she just like does not give a fuck about what anyone thinks or says. And I grew up as her. I grew up my entire like young adult was Cherry Bomb.
Spicy and not giving a fuck. That sounds exactly like you. So.
Yeah, that describes everything. In a way, you worked twice in Japan as Cherry Bomb, right?
3 times.
Three times.
Three tours. Yeah, 3 tours.
Okay, 3 tours Japan. How long were you there each time?
The first time I think I was there for like 2.5 weeks. The second time I was there for almost a month. And then the third time I went back, I want to say maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. But I just want to say, like, when I went to Japan, I had been working for maybe 5 or 6 years. Like, I feel like I was still pretty green to be going over there. And it was the first time I'd ever really flown anywhere by myself. And I remember like just being wide eyed and like, oh my God, like where, like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And it was like a really, really good learning experience for me being over in Japan for sure. And I got to work for a lot of different companies. It was like, yeah, it was a pretty special. And actually, small story about Japan. Me and the Blade were both over there at the same time. We were not dating. We were just friends. And he posted like a status on Facebook and was like something about being in Tokyo. And I remember being like, oh my God, I have a friend here. And I took the train over to see him. And we went to Sizzler and hung out and yeah.
I like that you went to Sizzler in Japan, of all the places you could go.
Listen, I was vegetarian at the time. I was afraid to eat because I don't eat fish. So I was like, I'll just eat at Sizzler. You got any vegetables? Yeah.
Right. There's going to be something.
Yeah.
So in 2012, Combat Zone Wrestling, you were there with Pepper Parks. Because the Blade is Jesse, Pepper Parks, Braxton Sutter. Like,
got a lot of names.
He and you suddenly have like a bunch of names, which now makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Was that the first time that you guys had worked together in wrestling?
It wasn't the first time. No, we actually, when we got together, we were very like, we're not working together. We are not having any kind of wrestling relationship. Like, no way, not happening. Both of us felt that way. And then somebody threw us together. Like, it was on an indie, a quick indie. It was like, yeah, we want you to, do stuff. And then it was and then another indie was like, hey, you just do like a mixed tag. And so we were kind of like slowly starting to do stuff together. But CZW was really where we like got together and formed like an actual gimmick together, like as a team. And it really changed the game for both of us. Like at that point, we'd both been kind of like floundering a little bit on the indies. Like we weren't really weren't really doing a whole heck of a lot. And then it was just like, as soon as we got together, we just became so much stronger as workers separately. You know what I mean? Because I think we gave each other a lot of confidence, and we were able to like, build off each other. And it propelled us forward into Impact and now into AEW. Like, honestly, I feel like us coming together was the best thing for both of our careers, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
2013, you signed, or you began wrestling for Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How was that?
So, well, that was an awesome opportunity for me. I was so excited because, like, up to that point, I hadn't done any like real TV. I had just done like tryouts and things like that. So Ring of Honor was an opportunity to wrestle on television, which was like a huge deal for me. And again, I was wrestling other people. Like, when you are working at a circuit, like the Ontario indie scene was great when I was coming up, and I had an opportunity to work with a lot of different girls. But when you've been there for a long time, you're working the same people over and over and over again. So going into Ring of Honor, I was able to wrestle different people, which was really cool. And hell, I was on television. Like, I thought that was like, I was like, oh shit, like this is a huge deal for me. So yeah, I was excited, and I was grateful that I had that opportunity.
2016, you start with Impact Wrestling, and talk about your experiences there.
Yeah. So
I'm sure there are a lot of them. Yeah.
There were a lot. Yeah. So Impact was, so when I first came into Impact, actually, Jesse and I signed our contracts on the same day.
Oh.
Yeah. Which was, again, I feel like I said this before, but like, it was really cool for me, obviously, because like it was my first television contract, but I was so happy for him. Like, I was just like, at that point, he'd been working 15 years, and this was like his first TV. Like, it was just like, I cried for him. Like, I cried for myself, but I cried for him. Like, I was just like, yes. I was like, yes, show everybody how good you are, So it was really cool. And then when I went in, I got to work alongside Maria Canales. I was like her assistant. And I just have to say, like, I learned so much from her. Like, she was so giving and so helpful, and gave me a lot of like encouragement when it came to like talking, because up to that point, like I hadn't really, I hadn't talked a lot, like I hadn't cut a lot of promos.
Right.
I hadn't done like anything like pre-tapes or like, anything like the no acting, like none of that stuff. So I was just kind of thrust in this position where I got to learn alongside her. And then, I started talking a lot more. And I really my time in Impact, taught me how to build a character and how to embody a character. Like, that was really, I learned a lot while I was there. And to be honest with you, working on television is very different than working on the indies. It's just a different dynamic. It's, learning how to work the cameras. Like, that's a big thing that you don't really learn on the indies very much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you're doing iPay-per-views, it's just a whole other ballgame. Keeping to your times, understanding your entrance, when to take a beat, like all of those things that you don't think about when you work the indies, I learned while I was in Impact.
And that's one of the things that I really like about having you at AEW is your history in TV, how much how much TV experience you have, and just being able to give that to the other girls that maybe don't have as much of that. And I know personally, I love working your matches, one, because I love you, and two, just because I know that you're going to help elevate the rest of the talent we have, and it's always going to be a high quality match. So thank you for all you've done and all you give to everyone else.
You're so wonderful. You're making me blush.
Well, it's also because you bring me coffee every show, so I have to kind of build you up a little bit.
I drink coffee too.
Shivani, what do you take in your coffee?
I take it. I like my coffee like I like my women.
Black?
No, in a paper cup. And we've got.
Okay. All right.
We got questions from the fans coming up next on Unrestricted.
This is AEW Unrestricted. Aubrey and Tony here with Allie. During the break, we were talking about Allie's coffee and her Nespresso and all of the wonderful things that, I don't know if you guys understand, how much Allie actually loves coffee. and Oreos, apparently, I've learned very recently. So we're here with fan questions who also know that she's into Oreos and coffee. So let's kick it right off. DJ Speedy on Twitter, is your actual AEW character a fusion of everything you did before? For me, at the moment, I think you have a lot of cherry bomb.
Yes and no. Yes and no. There is 100% cherry bomb in this character. 100%. But it's some of my old characters, but a lot of it is new. A lot of it is, like I said, drawing on experiences and different characters and then sort of putting them all together. But he's absolutely right. There's 100% cherry bomb in the bunny, like for sure.
All right. Dark Order number 69 on Twitter.
Nice.
If Rosemary were to cross the forbidden door, even for a one-time thing, would Demon Bunny reunite or feud?
Oh my God. Okay. This is going to be a two-part answer. Okay.
Oh, great.
One, it would be a dream come true to work alongside her again as a partner. As the partner, 100%. It would also be a dream come true to feud with her again. Because my all-time favorite matches and my all-time favorite feud of my entire career has been Rosemary. It just, she's amazing. And she's one of my best friends. And yeah, selfishly, I would if I could drag her here, I would. And put her right next to me. And then maybe we'd also fight.
I feel like we just wrote a whole program here. So we're going to have to talk to TK. DJ Chaotic on Twitter. If you could have a wrestling dream match with any women's wrestler, who would you choose?
Trish Stratus, 100%.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She was the inspiration for me to start wrestling, was seeing her. So, and she's a Toronto gal, just like me. So yeah. I would love it. Yeah.
Okay, from Liam Wakeland. That's Liam Wakeland on Twitter. What's one of your favorite, I think you may have touched on this, but you can expand on it. What was one of your favorite memories from Impact Wrestling?
Oh, hands down the wedding. The wedding. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the coolest experiences of my entire life. Not only being able to stand with Jesse, with the Blade, and watch him kick ass, but every single person in that segment knocked it out of the park. And I don't think TV can really translate how loud the Impact Zone was. Like, that's the loudest I had ever heard it. People were losing their shit. It was so cool. And I feel like it's so important for me to say this because I don't feel like she gets the credit she deserves, but Madison Rayne wrote that segment. She wrote and produced that segment. She trusted all of us to bring her story to life. And honestly, that was one of the coolest, most awesome moments of my entire career, for sure.
I remember watching a clip of that recently and just like, man, wrestling weddings are the best.
The best! The best.
They're so good. It's like, it's never going to go the way you want it to, but it's always going to go a little differently. Always worth tuning in.
It was hard holding it together during that. I'm going to tell you. I almost pissed myself. I was laughing so hard inside.
I imagine. None of your business on Twitter asks, you've been very open about your mental health and struggles, which has inspired me and many others like me to open up more as well. What are some of your rituals to help you with your mental health before shows?
That's a really good question. First and foremost, I journal every day. I write out what I'm grateful for, and I write out affirmations. And actually, before every single match, I'm usually pacing like right by the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
But what people don't know is I'm actually saying affirmations out loud. So I'm confident. I'm a good wrestler. I'm good at what I do. And I usually say those over and over and over and over again because I have a lot of anxiety, which I try to be pretty open about that stuff because I feel like the more that we talk about it, the less stigmatized it'll be. The more that we talk about mental health issues, the less I feel like people will be afraid to talk about it too. I have anxiety and depression and things like that I've dealt with pretty much my whole life. But coming into AEW, I went through a period of, and Aubrey, we've talked about this. I went through a real period of imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And to the point that I physically couldn't wrestle well. Like I it's like, it's weird to talk about it because I think it's like somewhat embarrassing, but I also feel like it's really important to talk about because it's honest.
It is.
I was struggling to wrestle. Like I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And I actually went and found myself a really good therapist. And I feel very blessed that I can now afford to go to a therapist because a lot of people can't. And that's a whole other issue. But I feel very grateful that I found a really good therapist who encourages me. And I do positive affirmations before every single match. And I can say like wholeheartedly over the last 6 months that I've really felt better. Like I feel like I'm not letting the anxiety take control of me anymore. I'm really working on it, but it's a daily thing. Like it's not something where I just woke up one morning and I was like, I feel better. It's every single day I work on myself. And that's typically how it is with mental health issues. You know, it's something you have to live with and you have to work through. And hopefully people that are listening to this, if you're struggling at all, you know, make sure you find someone you can trust, you can talk to, and don't suffer alone. Like, you know, definitely find someone you can talk to, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, like, at all.
It's one of those things where I think people see us on TV and we're like, everything's perfect and everything's great. But like,
right.
I know personally, like I woke up this morning and was super depressed and didn't want to do shit and wanted to go back to bed and just sleep through the whole thing. And I'm like, well, I want to talk to Allie, and just finding those little things that are really good. And then finding the things that you need to help you get better. I think just even talking about that. And I know you talk about it online more than I do. And anytime I see you talking about it, I'm like, man, I should really talk about it more. So I appreciate you being so open and honest, because it's not only inspiring to people who don't openly talk about it, but it's inspiring to people who are also going through struggles. So
yeah, I think it's something that we don't all need to be honest about, because I know it's hard, but I think that if you're in a position where you have a platform and you can influence people in a positive way and be candid and honest, I think that it'll make it easier, or at least make it somewhat easier for other people that are struggling, going through the same thing. Because I do, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm ranting on this, but
no, not at all.
Please.
It's important.
There's something when it comes to having like a mental health issue, like depression or anxiety or whatever it is, like there's a part of you, or at least a part of me, that feels very guilty for feeling the way that I do. So, you know, like you're saying, like people are seeing us on television and they're seeing us live out our dreams. And it is such a wonderful, amazing thing. But I'm still battling a mental health issue. And sometimes it's really important to acknowledge that just because things in life are going really good, like it's okay to still be struggling with a mental health issue. Like you don't have to feel guilty for being depressed. Like it's something that you can't control. You know, it's literally your brain at war with itself. Right. So that's why I think it's so important to like extend kindness to yourself and be as kind to yourself as you can. Like give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. And then doing those small things, you know, even if it's just getting up to take a shower, which can be so hard when you're depressed, like brushing your teeth and taking a shower. Like self-care at its basic form can be really hard when you're struggling. So if you can find those small little things to help you get through the day, and just extend patience to yourself and be kind to yourself.
Very well said. And I think, Allie, you would agree that this company wants you to take care of yourself mentally. I mean, they're concerned about that. We have a very good support system here.
They're amazing. Oh my gosh. I was scared to even say anything. I was like, I just got to keep my head down, keep going. I'll just live in this imposter syndrome and fuck it, you know? And I realized like, hey, you know what? It's not really working. It's not really working. Like being quiet is not working. And I was able to reach out to somebody within the company, and they were able to give me the contacts that I needed to get the help that I needed. And
tremendous.
Yeah. And I just feel very, very, very lucky and very blessed to work for this company. And I'm just forever grateful. I really am.
Okay, we're going to go a completely different direction on this question. This is from Ultimate Funk on Twitter. What wrestler, regardless of company, would you like to do an Oreo taste test with?
Oh, man. Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, I have an answer, though. It would be the one and only, a fellow Oreo connoisseur, Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, he loves Oreos too. He loves Oreos. We both love Oreos. I feel like that would be a bomb ass taste test. Honestly, though, I think we'd eat the whole box together, though.
Oh yeah. I absolutely love like your method for taste testing Oreos. It's a lot like wine tasting. Like let's open it up, let's smell it, let's look at it and feel it. It's like it's more than just like, hey, how does it taste?
It's an experience, Aubrey. It's an experience.
What's the mouth feel? What's the aftertaste? What's the experience? It's so. I've never thought about like eating a cookie in depth before. And I'm like,
serious business, man.
It is very, very serious business. So Carl Bramblett on Twitter, besides your love for Oreos, have you ever taste tested hot foods?
Hot foods, is that like spicy or just like foods that are temperature hot?
I guess for foods that aren't Oreos, I guess.
Yeah, I would think it's spicy.
Spicy,
yeah, no,
spicy.
same.
I'm not much of a spicy kind of gal. I like Frank's. That's about the extent of my spiciness liking. That wasn't even a sentence. But so I realized I'm going to start running out of Oreos flavors. I'm thinking of trying to get some international Oreos because I think they do different flavors. But I was thinking of expanding into like accidentally vegan food and taste testing those things. Or getting people that aren't vegan to try them and see if they like them or not. You know, I thought that might be kind of fun.
That would be cool because a lot of people think vegans just like eat broccoli all the time. And it's like, no, we actually have like good things.
Yeah, I eat more than grass. No, I do like donuts and ice cream and all those things too. Pizza. I did get Christian to take a bite out of vegan pizza the other day.
Did you get the mellow mushroom?
Yes. He was very skeptical. He's like, I don't think so. And I was like, just look I'm just gonna cough a little sliver. Just a little sliver, take a bite. And he finally did.
Well, they used to follow your heart cheese, and
it's nice and
melts
creamy.
really well. So creamy.
He said it was okay. He said it was all right. Brian Cage likes it a little more, but I feel like Brian Cage will eat anything.
Pretty much, he has to.
Yeah.
Joseph Acevedo on Twitter wants to know, Allie, what TV shows do you enjoy watching during your downtime?
Okay, well, my favorite shows of all time are Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Vampire Diaries. I've rewatched both those shows about 1,000 times. Those are like my comfort shows that I always fall back on. But I love The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs and Darcy the Mail Girl. It's one of my favorite shows. It comes on Shudder. It's every Friday night. I want to say at 9:00. It's one of my favorites. It's usually like old school horror movies or like 80s horror movies, and they kind of do like little snippets in between and talk about them. So I think those are really fun. And I love Superstore. That's one of my favorite comedies. They just wrapped it up, sadly, but that was one of my favorites for sure.
Didn't you tell me one time you liked Outlander too?
Oh yeah, I got really into Outlander the first like season, and then I got Rebel really into Outlander. I like texted her and I was like, "You gotta watch this show." Right. And then I fell off of it. I got through like a season and a half, and that's usually what happens. I usually fall off. I get into something really, really obsessively, and then I'm like, never mind. Yeah.
There's so much out there; it just gets your attention from one to the other. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there really is.
Yeah.
All right, Allie, want to thank you for being here today. This was wonderful, just like yourself. I'm so happy that we finally got to do this. I think we've been wait, why have we not had Allie on here? Like, what the hell are we doing?
I'm so happy you guys asked me when I got the email. I was like, yay! I was like, of course I do. Get to hang out with my friends on I was going to say Tuesday morning. Woo! I don't even know what day it is.
It's like Dynamite wasn't yesterday. We did like 4 days of production. I don't know where I am anymore. Like,
no, I couldn't. I thought yesterday was a different day, and today is not Tuesday.
It's Groundhog Day every day.
You guys are the best, though. Thank you so much for having me.
You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Allie Wrestling. That's ALLIE Wrestling. That's where you can follow her. And don't forget, you can get us Unrestricted for free. Right, Aubrey?
Yes, wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating and review while you're there. We love hearing what you guys think. You can also check out these podcasts on YouTube. They come out Monday after the audio version. Search AEW Unrestricted, and you can find us and talk to us and see all of our very tired faces.
Yes, and don't forget, check out the AEW YouTube channel for Elevation on Monday nights, Dark on Tuesday nights, and then Wednesdays, normally,
Or normally. Right now it's a
Sometimes
little
on
weird.
Fridays because of the NBA. You can check out AEW Dynamite each and every week on TNT.
And we're going to start touring soon, too, so you can actually see us live on Wednesdays.
Absolutely.
Hooray!
Yeah. So I'm Tony Schiavone.
I'm Aubrey Edwards. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thanks, Allie.